stampers. Today I'm going to work with a couple of my favorite stamps. I have one by Sugar Plum and CC Designs, and my other one is a Magnolia stamp. It's Tilda, and she's actually sitting on a bench that I used masking to create. And I'm going to work today with my Copic markers. A lot of times my artwork, I get questions from folks that have seen my blog or people that I've given a homemade card to. And they ask me, how do I make the colors look so vibrant and my characters look so real? And I tell them the biggest thing is that I use Copic markers for all of my coloring. So I wanted to kind of show you today some of the ways that I color with my Copics. There's a couple of different ones that I enjoy using the most, and those are the ones I'll show you. For my skin tone today, I'm using E11, E000, E00, and E000. I'm also using R20, E13, E15, E33, and E25, and then B00, B04, and B02. Now, I almost always start with my skin tone, so that's the one I'll start with today first. I start off with my E11 on my Copic marker, and I'm just going to outline Tilda's face gently. Okay. I'm also going to put a little bit of shadowing on the left side of her knees and legs and her arms. And that's just because I want my light source to come from the left-hand side, so it kind of looks like the sun is shining down on her. Then I'm going to go back and take my E00 and go over what I just put and kind of blend in little small circles directly on top. The great thing about Copic markers is they blend incredibly well. Sometimes you'll want them, and this just comes from learning over time what works better for you, but sometimes you'll want it to dry first before you blend, and then sometimes you'll want it to work better while it's wet. I generally try to work better while it's wet, and then I go back if I need to when it dries. Then I'll take my E000 and pretty much go over the middle there and along those little spots that I did not get. Okay, and her neck, I will put E00, and I'll go back over just a little bit with the E00 just to give it a little bit more color, and a tiny bit more with the E11. There you go. Okay, and then with the E000, which is floral white, I'll just sort of go over the whole thing just a tiny bit to kind of make sure everything is blended in. Okay. Then the next thing I want to do is fill in her cheeks, and I am using R20. I'm simply just going to put a little bit of color on each of her cheeks and leave that like so. Then the next thing I usually do is I go ahead and work with hair. And I also wanted to do the flower. I'm going to make this flower pink. So we're going to do this with the R20. Okay, and the great thing to remember about Copic markers is you can always go back if you make a mistake. That's not a problem. There's ways to blend colors in if you feel like you've put too much or not enough. And then also there's so many different shades. You want to try to go with colors that are about 2 numbers apart. For instance, with the bench and her hair, I'm using E11, E13, E15. Or like you may want to use, for instance, with the blues, I have 00, and then 02, and then 04. So they're each about 2 numbers apart. So the next thing I'm going to do is use the color so that I can color her clothing. And to do that, I'm actually going to go in with my darkest color first and outline a little bit. Now, some folks don't do this. I choose to do it, and that's just the way I color. So I'm going to come in just a little bit. Again, my light source is coming from the left. put in a little of the outline in her outfit. Okay, just going to put a little bit of color underneath the collar, just for shadowing. And again, over time, you'll kind of figure out what works better for you, what look you like more. Okay, and I'm pretty much done for the most part for that one. And then I'll come in with my B02 and color in the spaces. And these colors are very similar, so you're not going to see a big difference in where you actually colored just the outline and where the actual outfit is at. But it does show up a little bit differently for the shadowing. Okay, then I'm going to take B00, and I'm actually going to color her little socks here. And I'm going to go back and put a little bit of shadowing there. A lot of times, like I said, I start with the outlining and then I go back with shadowing, or I go with the outline and then go in with a lighter color, and that's just easier for me to kind of see where I need to put more color at. But it's totally up to you what's easier for you. Okay. Just a few lines there, kind of outline. Alright. Okay, and for her, I'm actually going to color her collar of her little outfit here the same color as her socks, which was B00. Okay.